Just like that, we're back. Future Section 400, Matt, Jack, and Brian bringing you along for the NFL Sunday recap. It's over. Week 18 came and gone. It is playoff time. It feels like just yesterday we were watching that crazy Ravens-Chiefs game to kick off the year, and bang, the playoffs.
You two were watching. I wasn't allowed to.
Brian wasn't allowed to.
You were.
Good correction there. That is a good correction for all who have followed along all year. Brian bet that Saquon Barkley would not go to the Philadelphia Eagles or he would boycott week 1. And so Brian didn't get week 1. He got 17 weeks of football. We got 18. But there's some stuff to get into, before we get to SeatGeek and before we get to the recap. Obviously, we have to address, and maybe we can call it exit interviews for Jack and Brian here now that the season is concluded and their teams are not moving on. But the NFL playoffs are set. Bengals didn't get in. Obviously, Brian had them winning it all, didn't get it done. But we'll jump in to Dougie P getting released. Jack will not get his wish of Bill Belichick becoming the new head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Your thoughts, reactions, Jack? I mean, it's tough sledding down there in Duval County right now.
Look, brighter days ahead, Matt. Brighter days ahead. Doug is out the door. For some reason, we're keeping Trent Ball here around, our GM. I'm not sure why Shad's keeping him around. I know he loves him, but it just hasn't worked out with him either. But he gets to stay. I know Bill Belichick ain't coming through. I'm pretty sure Ben Johnson is, though. That is the word on the street. There's a lot of talk about, it's almost a done deal already. He's going to be the next head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm excited for that. I mean, he is the prime name right now outside of, Bill Belichick's gone already. The only other guy I might want is Mike Vrabel, even though he was a Tennessee Titans head coach for a while. But I'm pretty sure he's locked up with the Patriots.
Yeah, he's basically a Patriot already.
Yeah, I mean, give me Ben Johnson. I mean, he's killing it in Detroit right now. We've seen what he's been able to turn Jared Goff into. Imagine what he can do with Trevor Lawrence. I'm super excited for this. We'll have a high draft pick. We're not number 1 overall, so you guys wanted to give me a whole bunch of flack. The Jaguars are going to be the first team to have 3 first overall picks in however many years. No, not happening. It didn't happen. It's not happening. We're fine, man. Brighter days ahead.
Brighter days ahead, I think, is the best way to put it.
What was that,
I
Brian?
also agree with Brian.
Probably a bad thing it didn't happen.
Bad thing that, the number 1 overall pick didn't happen?
Yes.
Yes. I mean, obviously for the sake of, draft capital and who we can get, sure, yes. But at the same time, I don't want to be that team that sets historically bad trends and stats. We're not doing that here down in Duval.
I guess it would have been. It kind of just shows how bad both of our teams are that they can't even tank right. 2 weeks ago, we were talking about we're in a battle for the number 1 pick, and we didn't even get close.
No.
Yeah, if you asked me 3, 4, 5 weeks ago, I don't think I ever would have guessed the Tennessee Titans getting the number 1 pick. I probably would have had a couple different scenarios, combinations of teams, and I really don't think the Tennessee Titans would have been the number 1 pick for me, but somehow, some way, they're drafted first.
Yeah, I mean, it was very clearly between the Jags, the Giants, and the Raiders, and the Jags end up being the top pick out of all those teams with the 5th overall pick.
Yeah, Giants got 4, right?
Oh, did they?
I think they got 4.
Oh, excuse me, the Giants got 3.
3, yeah.
3, and then the Jags got 5, and then the Raiders get 6. I mean, just
if you it's interesting you bring up the Raiders because they were floating right around the 1 seed or one pick and dropped all the way to 6 because they won 2 meaningless football games at the end of the year. I mean, I don't know how far back that's going to set their franchise. They got rid of Davante Adams. They had Brock Bowers, who it looks to be an electric weapon.
They don't have the record for receptions by a rookie.
I know, but they don't have a quarterback. And drafting 6 instead in the top 3 is going to hurt them. I'm not sold on Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward. You know how I feel about those guys, but they definitely, don't have a shot at getting them now. But now that we have Jaguars out of the way, I want to kind of turn the focus to the New York Giants, who couldn't beat the Eagles practice squad team yesterday. But I find it interesting that Brian Dable and Joe Schmo, as Brian likes to call him, still have jobs.
That's a Jack. That's a Jack coin term.
Yeah, freaking
Whoever.
Joe Schmo.
It's what it is, because if we look at their first year together, they went 9-7-1, made the playoffs, won the playoff game, and all looked bright and hopeful. Then you go to 2023, they finished 6-11. Then you go to this year and they finished 3-14. So we're only going backwards. Yet John Mara, whatever the guy's name is, looking for every excuse, every reason to not fire these guys. You know, I don't know who you replace Dable and Joe Schoen with, but, you know, there's been some critical mistakes that I think the GM has made, Saquon Barkley walking being a very glaring one. Yeah, Brian, just your reactions to the ownership coming out and saying, you know, we're riding with these guys in 2025, and these are the guys going to be making our high draft capital decisions in April.
Yeah. Well, he came out with a letter to Giants fans, and he said, these are the guys. And then like 2 hours later, he says, it better not take too long because I've just about run out of patience. How are you not?
So
you just you contradict yourself. Dude, it's like you're a student, right? And you get straight A's your freshman year of high school. And you're like, yeah, we made the playoffs, whatever. You flunk your next 2 years, and then on your SAT, you somehow pull out a 2,400, like the Giants, for somehow not getting the first pick because they won a meaningless game. And then the college admits you, like Harvard admits you, and they're like, you know, we're going to give you a chance, but if you flunk your first semester, we're going to send you to the transfer portal. What are we doing? Don't let him in. If I'm Harvard, I'm not letting that student in. If I'm the Giants, I'm not letting my guy coach another year. He's shown you failure after failure. How do you still have any patience? How are you not run out of patience? And you have the audacity to come out with a letter to the fans and say, we're giving him more time. And then you talk to reporters and say, I'm about to run out of patience. Choose one.
Well, I think what he's saying there is these are our guys going forward for 2025. But
why?
I don't know why. But where he steps in, he says he's running out of patience. So I think basically what he's saying is 2025 is the last year that they have to right the ship and make significant progress. You know, what that progress is for John Mara, I don't know. But they have to make some kind of significant progress to keep their jobs beyond 2025 is kind of how I'm reading that is, look, they have 2025. And if it's another flunk shit show, I don't know how you get worse than 3-14 and being basically rock bottom. But
that's what he's saying. It's ridiculous that that's the plan. You have however many months the offseason is to go find a new coach, find a new GM, and you're like, no, I know it's not going to work. It's the definition of insanity. It's not going to work. It worked for 1 year when the NFL wasn't used to Dable's offense and Daniel Jones somehow led the team to the playoffs. And you had Saquon Barkley that really led the team to the playoffs. And it's been 2-3 years of just terrible. And you're like, you know what? Maybe I'll give him 2 games. We're going to get 2 games into 2025, and he's going to fire Schmo. He's going to fire Dable. And then they're going to be stuck with an interim head coach. And they're going to have to do this all again next year when you could go in with a new regime, a new plan, get a good draft because this regime can't draft. Everybody they draft is terrible. Malik Neighbors, he was just sitting there, so they were able to draft him. Everyone, it's such an embarrassment to the NFL that they are letting them continue to be in charge. It's ridiculous.
All right. Well, Brian, as much as you want to hate on the people in charge, how about the people on the field? With the 3rd overall pick, there's a really good shot you don't get Cam Ward or Shadur Sanders.
They're both going to, I'm past either of them being good. And if they'd be a Giant, they'd be bad with this regime anyway. At this point, I want him to trade for Joe Milton. Look good. Trade for Joe Milton, get the 4 pick, keep the Patriots with 3, and then draft somebody that's going to be terrible anyway.
Yes, obviously, Jack on the optimistic side for his Jaguars. Brian a little bit more pessimistic is a nice way, I guess.
If they get Ben Johnson, Tank Bigsby, and Travis Etienne are going to become the next Sonic and Knuckles, and you're going to be good.
Look, you want to know why? It's because Trevor Lawrence is and always has been better than Daniel Jones. It's simple as that.
Trevor Lawrence is not good, and I will never admit that to you.
Well, Daniel Jones doesn't exist anymore.
He was on the sideline on Sunday Night Football.
Sorry.
But for the Giants, he doesn't
Darnold.
exist anymore. He doesn't exist for the Giants anymore. So I guess if you want to say who won that battle, I guess you can give it to Trevor Lawrence. But look, both teams piss poor years, to say the least. But I don't even know how to ask this question now because Jack seemingly is pretty high on the Jaguars' 2025 outlook, and Brian again obviously not that high. I was just going to say, who's in a better position going forward, the Jaguars or the Giants?
We're a 10-win team next year.
All right, relax.
I think the Giants are
Kings of the South next year.
So after Brian's, just ripping on the regime, ripping on everything, you seem to think the Giants are in a better position going forward than the Jaguars. Please tell me why.
Well, just because I've been preaching this to Jack all season. I finally admitted we're tearing down and we have no expectation. And Jack is still sitting in La La Land thinking he can put a Band-Aid on a train wreck and it'll be better next year.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Brian. I could have told you exactly what Brian was gonna say. It's because we tore it down, and Jack's still hanging on to some crappy hope. We have hope. We're gonna have Trevor Lawrence, Brian Thomas Jr., who is the best rookie wide receiver in this class, and we're gonna have a new offense. Period. New offense. Period. Ben Johnson's gonna come in and lead us to the promised land. 10-win season over a Texans team who's won the AFC South the past 2 years. They haven't looked good either, at all this year. Like really at all this year. I think honestly the only bright spot this year for the Texans has been the games where Joe Mixon has dominated, 30 carries, 150 yards, a couple touchdowns. Outside of those games, Texans don't scare anybody. Next year, as CJ Stroud is getting worse, Trevor Lawrence is gonna come back and retake the South for us.
It all went downhill after C.J. Stroud, big man, Caleb Williams on Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, it really does seem like that. I mean, he was just trying to be nice and all that and, respect and all that. But it seems like the stats, have shown, it's a lot like the Kyler Murray goes down after Call of Duty comes out and Jordan Love with Toyotathon. Like these things, for some reason, that they hold
go
true.
hand in hand. They go hand in hand. I guess as a third party here, I would lean the Jaguars just because they're going to kind of have a new regime, and meaning just the head coach. I know the GM's still there, but like Brian said, the Giants are pulling the definition of insanity by running it back for the fourth straight year, the same guys, and expecting different results. I mean, it's the definition of insanity. I have no faith in the Giants, and I guess for me, love to see it. But, if they get Ben Johnson, maybe there is a new life. He is an unknown candidate, never coaching in the NFL before. But obviously, the way you see the way that Lions offense operates, reason to be extremely optimistic on what he might be able to do as the head coach. Giants are just running it back after a 3-win season. So there you have that. We'll, again, obviously jump through how these games unfolded on Sunday. There wasn't a lot of whole meaning on the Week 18 slate, but we're still going to dive into it. And let's get a quick word from SeatGeek before we jump into my long-lost friend, Carson Wentz.
The calendar is flipped to 2025, and that means one thing. The sports action is heating up, and the best place to go to get tickets to playoff football, meaningful basketball games, and maybe some baseball soon is SeatGeek. SeatGeek is the official sponsor of the Views from Section 400 podcast. Whether you're going to watch some Auburn Tigers play at Neville Arena, best team in college basketball, if you want to see the Birds probably choke in the playoffs at the Link, or maybe you want to buy some early spring training tickets for the spring, SeatGeek is the best place to go. Their one-of-a-kind platform makes finding the best deals easy. Use our code VIEWSFROM400 at checkout for $20 off your first purchase. Again, that's code VIEWSFROM400 at checkout. You get $20 off your first purchase. That's a free beer and maybe some crab fries, maybe a hot dog on us. It's a great deal. Use our code SeatGeek. Your best night ever is waiting.
We thank SeatGeek, as always, for the quick word. We'll jump into the AFC here first and then get into the NFC. I think the AFC had the biggest playoff picture scenario that could have happened this weekend. Obviously, the one seed on the NFC, and we'll get into that. But the Broncos won 38-0. The Chiefs obviously didn't play anybody. Carson Wentz was kind of the sliver of hope for Brian at least. But yeah, Bo Nix looked like an MVP candidate out there, 321 yards, 4 TDs. They sealed the deal. They didn't leave it in limbo. They got the win, and they're in. Obviously, the Dolphins and the Broncos both eliminated because of that. But, yeah, Carson Wentz, no hope at all. 38-0. Broncos get in.
Yeah, I kind of not regret, but not that I was optimistic for – no, I was optimistic for the Bengals heading into this week. But it's clear Andy Reid did not want to show a single thing on film at all from this game. It was embarrassing to watch. And even when they didn't want to try to actively not play good football, they managed to do it. There was a touchdown Bo Nix threw in the back of the end zone that went off like 3 defenders into Deshaun Vele's hands for a touchdown. I saw someone quote tweeted and said you can take Bo at Auburn, but you can't take the Auburn out of Bo. It's like very Auburn football-esque play that somehow worked out. It's really just really hurt me. It was over by the first drive.
Yeah, I mean, this game was over quick.
What did you expect? I tried telling you all week the Chiefs, if they have the option, are not going to let Joe Burrow and the Bengals into the playoffs. And I didn't think that they were going to let themselves get slaughtered 38-0. But look, that they didn't need to do anything. They still have the 1 seed wrapped up. They're going to take the week off on a bye.
Yeah, I was expecting at the very least, the defense to keep it somewhat close, and then maybe Carson Wentz pulls something out of his ass and hits Hollywood Brown wasn't even playing. Justin Watson on a 50-yard touchdown to make it 10-7 going in the fourth quarter, and then my hopes would be up. But it just never stood a chance. Harrison Butker missed a field goal. Like, no one wanted to play.
No, but what we do know is the Chiefs get the bye and the Broncos play in Buffalo Sunday at 1 p.m. And another game that really didn't mean anything. I guess the Titans got the number 1 pick out of it, but the Texans beat the Titans 23-14. Number 1 pick goes down to Tennessee. I don't even know where they're going to go. Quarterback? Like, I don't even know who they need.
Yeah, no, they'll take a quarterback. I mean, after seeing what Will Levis and Mason Rudolph have put together this year, my Lord, they're going to take a quarterback. I don't know if it'll be Ward or Sanders.
Yeah,
but
like
take
where do they go?
They'll definitely take one of them.
I couldn't tell if Will Levis was playing for the cause of getting the number 1 pick or playing for his job. He had like a 60-yard touchdown throw where he threw it up in quadruple coverage, and it somehow worked out. That was the highlight of this game.
Yeah, I think it's too little too late. There was no playing for his job anymore in week 18 of a, number 1 pick upcoming season. I think that was more just hopes and dreams, and he gave the guy a shot.
Yeah, no, he lost his starting job 2 different times this season to Mason Rudolph.
Right.
So, yeah, no, there was no hope after. Like, this was the maybe put together what you have for another team sort of mixtape sort of week, but the Titans have no shot or no intentions of keeping these 2 guys around. They're going to get a quarterback.
Yeah, Will Levis is going to have to bank on his Mayo commercials for sources of income, I think, for his future. But we'll see what happens. Maybe he gets a backup role and can make a couple mil a year for however long he remains in the league. But again, moving along here, another game that I guess didn't mean much. Chargers beat the Raiders 34-20. We get the Chargers and the Texans this Saturday in, they always put, I would say, the nonsense playoff game first on Saturday, and this kind of seems like it is. I know the Texans are home, but I really like the Chargers in that game. I know I'm kind of jumping ahead and previewing that because, I don't need to talk about the Raiders.
Yeah, you say the Texans always get put in that 4 p.m. slot. Since 2011, when the Texans made the playoffs, they have played in that 4:30 Saturday game every time they've made the playoffs. 2011, 2012, 2015, 2016, 2018, 2019, 2023, and 2024. 4:30
Which
on
is
Saturday.
They're a
it's
garbage
interesting.
franchise.
You know, it's not a huge market, but Houston, like, that's a decent market. You would think there would be a bigger draw for viewership, especially with CJ Stroud, but I guess the NFL just or the Texans don't do well viewership wise. I don't know.
No, the Texans suck. They're a poverty. They're a poverty organization. So
Yeah, so
Well,
you got into a little spat on our YouTube clip with the Texans fan.
yeah, dude was trying to tell me that the city of Houston is bigger than the city of Jacksonville.
I think I would agree with him on that.
Well, we weren't really defining the
Are we
parameters
talking area, population?
See, Brian, we never really
I
figured
feel
that
like
part
all
out.
the above on Houston. Isn't Houston like a major city?
Yeah, well,
Jacksonville
yeah,
might have
Jacksonville
a
is too.
larger square area if you count all of the suburbs.
It does. It's the largest city in the U.S. based on like square footage.
Okay. Well, we'll leave that at that.
And there might be one Florida guy that's setting fire to a grocery store living in a 1,000-foot square area of that, but it's square area.
Well, either way, I like the Chargers to beat the Texans on Saturday. The Raiders get the 6th pick, so they play their way out of a top 5 pick to end the year. And is Antonio Pierce going to be the coach next year?
I think so.
It's looking that way.
He came out with some comments saying he's ready to have a better year next season.
Look, I said
Well,
it before on the pod. I think he's a great interim head coach. I don't know that he's a good long-term, option at head coach, but we'll see.
yeah, I don't know if we've really seen enough from him, to say that he would be worth keeping around as a head coach. I don't know what your other options are, but if you're going to get a new quarterback, that's something that he's never really had. I mean, I mean, who did he have? Jimmy Garoppolo or not even?
Aiden O'Connell.
Aiden
Gardner Minshew.
O'Connell, Gardner
Minshew
Minshew.
was thrown out there for a little bit. I mean, it
I know,
was,
but like
bottom of the
last
barrel.
last year when he took over as interim head coach, who was the quarterback then? Last year was it Garoppolo
I
or
think
no?
it was O'Connell.
It was
Yeah, I want to
O'Connell.
say it was O'Connell.
Oh Lord, see, yeah, he's never really had anything to work with, so
No.
maybe give him a shot, give him a quarterback, give him a shot, see what he can do.
He'd be
Who's
like
who's like the third and fourth quarterback off the board in this draft coming up?
Jalen Milroe.
Yeah, I mean I don't know.
Is Dylan Gabriel going to the draft or no?
Yeah, Milroe's kind of old, but Dylan Gabriel's like 26. Not 20. He's old. He's been around
Yeah.
college for 5, 6 years.
Well, I mean, I feel like there's going to be a lot of those guys too, right? Like the Notre Dame quarterback. Yeah, isn't this his like 5th or 6th year playing?
Leonard, yeah. I don't know if he'll get drafted. He'll be a day 3 guy.
Yeah.
This
Either
quarterback
way,
class is just not.
it's not as heavy as we've seen in the past. But to keep it moving on, the other game, the Bengals got the job done. They beat the Steelers 19-17. Unfortunately, didn't get help elsewhere, so they're eliminated. The Steelers get into the playoffs, but they seem to have a scoring problem. As they're what, on a 4-game losing streak.
Yep.
And I almost on one of the pods earlier in the year when they were scoring like crazy was going to give Arthur Smith some credit. And it's kind of blowing up in his face over there in Pittsburgh is on a 4-game slide and, not looking strong going into the divisional playoff battle this weekend against the Ravens.
Yeah, all 4 of those games, they have scored 17 or under. Russell Wilson, 220 yards or under in all of those games. But Arthur Smith is getting interviewed by the Jets, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't think we can. I think everybody knows George Pickens is like the only receiver that the Steelers have. I mean, we got to give credit to the Muth, Pratt Firemuth, the tight end, but Pickens is the only wide receiver they have. He was out for a few games with the hamstring injury. I think he's played in the last 2, but hasn't really done anything.
He needed 100 yards in this game to get to 1,000. He finished with -1.
Yeah, I mean, look, like this guy, like the past, I want to say 6 weeks now, hasn't really played good football or, at all. So we all know that he was a huge part of this offense. It can't be overstated how important he is to move forward for them to open up the vertical passing game for Russ. And, they're going to get into these playoffs but with how they're playing right now, they're just an absolute fraud of a team.
Yeah, and like Matt said, he was screaming about how they're a Super Bowl contender when they were good, and then the wheels fell off.
The wheels fell off, and speaking of their opponent, the Ravens beat up on the Browns 35-10. All signs look that the Ravens are going to be able to handle business and get the job done. Maybe 6 weeks ago I would have been singing a different tune, but just the way it's trending, the Ravens should have no problem. Maybe it's a close game because it's division, but they should be able to get the job done here.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think 6 weeks ago, actually, the Steelers may have beaten the Ravens, and then that I think that was maybe the last game that the Ravens lost before they really turned on the Jets and came back, beat the Steelers again. On another game down the stretch, and the Ravens just look really freaking good right now. I think the Steelers don't really have much of a shot, but you're right. Divisional game, meeting up in the playoffs could be a hell of a matchup.
Yeah, anything can happen. Anything kind of goes.
It's Derrick Henry is the first Raven other than Lamar Jackson to lead the team in rushing since Lamar's rookie year. First Raven running back other than Lamar Jackson to lead the team in rushing. Lamar led the team in rushing every season but his rookie year.
Wow.
And then, yeah,
they have had a committee and a whole bunch of injuries to guys, and nobody like Derrick Henry. But that's funny. So what is that?
2018. It was 2017 was Justin Forsett, or 2014 was Justin Forsett, and then they had Terrence West and Alex Collins the 2 years between, and then Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, so 6 years now. Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. But let's jump onto here. I guess the nonsense game. Colts 26, Jaguars 23. Probably better the Jags lost this game, but Brian needed to add that the Giants officially are a better football team than the Jaguars.
I don't know where you're pulling that out from, Brian. Make that make sense to me.
He only scored 23 points on the Colts' terrible defense. Drew Lock and the Giants just scored 45.
Well, you only put up 3 wins this year. We had 4.
Should have beat the Colts.
Shouldn't have lost so many games, Mr. Don't lose 3 games.
Yeah, look, nonsense game. Who really cares? Divisional battle, but, Colts lost to the Giants to kind of kill off any playoff hope they had, and, Jaguars have packed it in 4 weeks ago. So, that, done and dusted. We already did the Jaguars exit interview. But
I will say, though, last thing here, whenever you bring up, because I know you're going to, at the long length we do this show, Brian Thomas Jr.'s rookie receiving numbers. 20 of those yards do not count. There was a 4th and 23, and Mac Jones just threw him a pass 10 yards behind the line of scrimmage in double coverage, and he caught it to end the game. That is a PS throw, no incentives. It does not count. I'm not counting those 20 yards from Brian Thomas.
Brian, shut up. Your famous words are, hey, it's football. It all matters. Whenever I try to bring up how these guys will score a whole bunch of points in garbage time or whatever it is, it's all football. They're all getting paid.
It's the last play of the season. Throw it past the sticks. Why are you throwing it underneath to
Brian Thomas? Brian Thomas Jr. out here making your man Malik Neighbors look like a rookie. Man, what's the deal? I mean,
Malik Neighbors scored a touchdown against the number 2 seed in the NFC on Sunday. Brian Thomas Jr. didn't do that.
It was all the backups.
Cool. He scored 1 touchdown against 1 team. Whatever. Brian Thomas Jr. put up double-digit touchdowns this year. Did Malik?
He might have. I think he had 10.
Cricket.
He did have 10.
No.
Yeah, Sunday was his 10th. I got to double check, but I'm pretty sure that was his 10th.
All right, you guys can argue about this all you want. I guess you have to because there's no playoff football to look forward to. But we'll wrap up the AFC here.
It was not his 10th. Sorry.
Thank you for clarifying. We'll wrap up the AFC here with the Jets beating the Dolphins. Again, the Broncos smoked the Chiefs, so this game didn't matter that much. Rodgers throws his 500th touchdown pass. Obviously, the Bengals officially finished as the first team out. But I guess the biggest takeaway from this game, and for me, it wasn't Rodgers' 500th pass. It was the fiery comments from Tyreek Hill after the game essentially not forcing, but being like, you got to trade me. I'm done in Miami, which he restructured his deal in August. He still has 2 years left on that contract. They're going to have to send a trade for him. This is going to get pretty messy. There's a lot of money involved. There's obviously 2 years on the contract left. You know, this is a high priority wide receiver one in the National Football League. The Dolphins are going to have to address this. Now, it seems like Tyreek Hill has already made up his mind before even getting back to Miami that he wants out and he's going to be out. It's only a matter of time of, maybe finding a suitable trade partner.
The Chiefs are going to lose the Super Bowl to the Lions in a shootout when their receivers don't do anything, and Tyreek Hill is going to return to the Chiefs next season, and they go 19-0 and win the Super Bowl.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because I did want to ask where we think possibly Tyreek Hill would be the best fit for 2025. I didn't have the Chiefs on my list. Maybe they could go there, but where do you guys think, other than the Chiefs, I guess, or I guess, maybe that's Brian's best fit? I had maybe the Washington Commanders as a sneaky pick for Tyreek Hill to go. Got the quarterback on the rookie deal. Could obviously use an explosive weapon in Tyreek Hill. I would hate to have Tyreek in the division, but I think it makes a lot of sense for him to go to the Commanders.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know what his deal is. I mean, I do, but I don't understand it. You left the Chiefs, who were a Super Bowl winning team, what was it, like 3 or 4 years ago now, because you wanted all the money, and now you got all the money, and you're like, yeah, fuck this, I'm out. I want to go play
Yeah,
some competitive football. Like, why didn't you just stay with the team originally? You could have gotten paid not Justin Jefferson money. You could still get paid and play competitive football, and then you get all the sponsorships and all that. I mean, we talked about this. It was just a stupid move from the start. He should have stayed there in KC. Where do I think is a good spot for him now? Not sure, honestly. I don't think it can be KC. They're going to have to move so many people around if they want to do that. They have big money everywhere, and they can't just add another one like that.
Cap's fake.
yeah.
What?
I
The cap is fake.
What do you think they're going to increase it again this offseason?
Well, they can
They
do
always
that.
do.
Mahomes could backload his deal. Everyone in the sports sees what the Dodgers are doing now, too. And
Yeah.
remember Tyreek Hill said Tua was better than Mahomes, verbatim.
Well, yeah, he just got to Miami. He needed to make his quarterback feel good. He needed to speak it into existence. It just wasn't the case. Look, Tua's really good in like a September game in Miami when, it's the beginning of the season, nice
You're
warm
playing the
weather.
Jaguars
You're playing the Jaguars. Well, he only put up
week one.
19 points, so it's
Yeah,
really
but he
not
led
that
the
good.
huge set. That was all in one half, though, because it was a huge second half comeback.
Yeah, you know what, Matt? Go shut up.
Yeah, it was a fun game. But that is the AFC. We have that wrapped up. We'll jump over to the NFC now, where the Eagles took on the Giants. I actually was boots on the ground for this game. I went with my dad. Pretty much no reason to go to the game, but it was fun hanging out with my pops, like I said, and had a fun day in that aspect. So some good stuff there. But yeah, Eagles roll out Tanner McKee, who was the third string quarterback all year, put up 270 yards and two touchdowns. You know, shit. I think the Las Vegas Raiders would take this guy as a quarterback.
Man, you got one of the best O lines in the league and some of the best receivers. Tanner McKee ain't doing that with the Raiders' weapons.
It was backup lineman and backup. I mean, Jahan Dotson. There was a guy I never didn't even know scored the first touchdown yesterday. I didn't even know that guy existed. Dallas Goedert was there. Okay, he played because they're trying to get him, back into the offense coming off injury. But it was a lot of backups. And look, this Tanner McKee guy, whether you like it or not, has looked pretty good coming in as a third string quarterback and putting up numbers.
I think the San Francisco Giants outfield could do a better job covering wide receivers than the New York Giants defensive backs.
I don't agree with that.
They can't draft defensive backs, and the two that they somehow lucked into being decent are on IR.
Who is that?
Tyler Newman and Drew Phillips.
Dude, didn't they have a run of like drafting good D-backs like Xavier McKinney, and they just didn't
they drafted
sign anybody?
yeah, Clinton Dix and Xavier McKinney. And Clinton Dix didn't really pan out after he left. But McKinney, I think he led the league in picks.
McKinney's been electric. Is he on the Packers now?
Yep.
Yeah, so tough slot in there. But yeah, Eagles play the backups, still beat the Giants, which isn't saying much. We get to host the Packers at 4:30 on Sunday. I feel confident. It's definitely not the game I wanted to have to play, but 4:30 window at the link, playoff game, atmosphere's there. I'm feeling good. I think the boys can go out there and get it done.
Yeah, at least it's in America this time.
That is
There you
also true. That
Nope.
helps.
No Christian Watson and no Toyota Thon, too. So I think you'll be okay.
Yeah, no
Toyota
Jair
Thon
Alexander.
Juju.
No Jair Alexander either.
Yeah, and I also missed this stat during my Giants rant, but I think it's worth pointing out just to put me in further disappointment here. 2025, the number one hardest strength of schedule, the New York Football Giants
Had the hardest schedule this year?
next year. And the NFC East is all up there. The Eagles have the fourth, Dallas has the fifth, and Washington has the eighth.
And that's just based on playoff teams this year, correct?
Yeah, winning percentage. So next year, they get the AFC West and the NFC North, and you'll
Okay.
get whatever team finished the same seed as you for. So like the Eagles will play whoever finished first in the West and the North. So they'll get the Chiefs and the Lions.
Yeah, that's tough. That's definitely tough. But that's usually the way it goes. Keeping it rolling here, though, we jump into a fun one. Bucs 27, Saints 19. This was strictly a game, and I know the Bucs had a win, but this was strictly a game where all eyes were on Mike Evans getting 11 straight seasons at 1,000 yards. He got it on the last throw of the game. I mean, that was really, really, really close. Happy to see him get it done. I mean, he's a guy who, we talk about every year. I mean, he is just relevant year in and year out.
Are you going to hate on this?
Oh, I'm
Who,
waiting
me?
for you to say it. I am waiting for you to say it, Brian.
You're going to call this Mickey Mouse?
Look, I am a huge Mike Evans supporter. Have been since he was cooking it with Johnny Football. I was just going to roast you, not Mike Evans, not
Me?
Brian Thomas Jr., just you. Because you're going to sit here and say, congrats to Mike Evans for getting that 1,000 yards on the last throw of the game kind of deal, when Brian Thomas Jr. got those extra 20 yards that you want to fucking complain
A
about.
completely different scenario. Mike Evans was chasing history. Brian Thomas Jr., the Jags had nothing to lose, down by 3 points, and they threw it short of the sticks.
Brian Thomas Jr. is also chasing history.
What history?
Rookie receiving records in Jaguars franchise history. He's the leader. So every yard counts.
That's not tying Jerry Rice for the most consecutive 1,000-yard seasons in NFL history.
You just love to pick and choose, don't you?
Yes, because it's a different
Have
scenario.
you ever met Brian?
It's the
That's
end of
all he does.
It's the end of a game that you're winning, and you're just getting your guy 5 yards to break a record versus a game you're down by 3. The season's about to be over. You have no more.
And we're trying to
left.
go win a football game.
And they threw a 10-yard short of the sticks. Throw it up. Throw it past the first down marker.
He was trying to make something happen. Look,
it was a comeback route with 2 guys on his back. Pause, but still.
On the last play of the game, I'm throwing the ball to my best player, period. Look, that's just me. That's my coaching. That's my philosophy. But I think that's what Mac Jones did.
I'm not like terribly mad about it. I'm just saying it's just if I was a Jaguars fan, I would have liked them to just throw it up and see what happens.
All right, well, I don't care what you want, Brian. This isn't about Brian Thomas Jr. It's about you and your hypocrisy. This is about Mike Evans hitting the record, tying Jerry Rice's record. Congratulations to Mike Evans.
Yeah, fine.
And congratulations to the Bucs for winning the South and, for the second year in a row, making the playoffs.
It's like the 4th.
Right.
They keep on doing this.
Oh, was there not a break in between Brady?
No, they just kept it rolling.
Just kept it rolling. But where I will, I don't know if I'll say congrats because they had a shit season, but at least some props after we all said, I think I said he'll probably never play again. Brian said he'll never play for the Panthers again. But Bryce Young kind of rights the ship and gets the coach to come out after the game and basically say, this is going to be our guy going forward. So, I don't know where that was on our bingo card, but Bryce Young coming back to Carolina next year and solidified in as a starting quarterback going forward. He got benched for a bit and he came back. I mean, 251 yards, 3 TDs. They put up 44 points, beat the Falcons. Yeah, I mean, this Falcons team is a team you guys had slated as the second best team in the NFC and, completely fell apart.
At one point they looked like it, but yeah, they absolutely fell apart. I mean, look, if you switch your quarterback starting to the backup, like you've fallen apart. I think that was like a last ditch effort they had to try and stop the team. But yeah, no, the Falcons absolutely fell apart this year. And shout out Bryce Young. Hopefully his future's bright.
Yeah, they went from another year of despair and rebuild to probably, when we're talking about the AFC or the NFC South next year, we're going to be talking about the Panthers as a sneaky possible wildcard team because of Bryce Young.
Yeah, and obviously, where are they? Are they top 5 pick?
I don't think they finished. I think they finished somewhere in the middle.
No, yeah, they had 5 wins.
Oh, wow.
But they ended up beating – they had 1 win over the Saints and 1 win over the Falcons. So, I mean, you got to like that, as far as the division, looks good for them. They got to figure out a way to beat the Bucs, though, as everybody does in that division.
Yeah, congrats to anybody who cashed the over 4.5 on Panthers wins.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
I don't know who the hell would have taken that, but that was the over-under, and they smacked it.
That would have been a stressful game to hit it, too. And
right?
On the other side, the Falcons, another losing season. Every year since 2017, they've had a losing season. Since then, Mercedes-Benz Stadium has hosted, once the college football playoff happens, there will be 3 champions crowned in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. The Falcons haven't been to the playoffs since that has happened.
Yeah, it's just wild is the best way to put it. But yeah, let's hit this game real quick. Commanders, Cowboys. Was this for anything? Did this mean anything? The only big news out of this is that the Chicago Bears now want to interview Mike McCarthy.
Yeah.
The Commanders winning helped them secure the 6th seed, right?
Yeah, it was the don't play the Eagles. If the Commanders lost and the Packers won, the Commanders would have had to play the Eagles again.
So, that's a big game for them. The Eagles have not treated them nicely this year.
Why the hell do the Bears want to interview Mike McCarthy? That's what I'm stuck on this. Like, why is that the guy they want to go get?
I think it's all a ploy, and we're going to see this from other NFC teams. It's just, let's say we want to interview Mike McCarthy, so Jerry Jones re-signs Mike McCarthy.
Maybe. I would love that. That would be hilarious.
They all just hate Jerry Jones that much. They're like, let's get this guy stuck in there.
I think they really do.
That wouldn't surprise me. Dude, who wants Mike McCarthy? I was shocked when he was hired by the Cowboys in the first place. I mean, and then you realize, oh, it's Jerry. But he did not have a good ending to his time in Green Bay. The end there with Rodgers before the floor. Is this guy really getting a 3rd job? There's no way. It's got to be a ploy.
And the McCaskey family probably hates him a lot, too, because he terrorized them when he was in Green Bay.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Just doesn't make a lot of sense. Maybe they're using that terror to say, hey, maybe he can sprinkle some new life into our franchise because of all the horribleness that we had to deal with. I don't know.
They might be the only owners left more senile than Jerry Jones. I think she just turned 102.
Anyway,
I think the North Dakota State quarterback just got knocked out.
Uh-oh.
He literally just dove into the end zone, scored the touchdown, but got absolutely leveled. Do they have concussion protocol in college?
I think, yeah.
Or is it just an eye test?
FCS might say fuck it. They don't get any funding. They might
FCS might say fuck it.
They might not have the doctors to do that.
Oh, well, it wasn't that bad. His helmet just kind of like popped off. He didn't even get hit in the head, and he looks completely. He didn't like do the Tua when he was getting up with like his fucking hands and shit. But
speaking of fights here, before we jump in again, we do get the Lattimore versus Mike Evans playoff game. We thought those were done. We get it one more time.
What a juicy matchup. I will
That's gonna
definitely
get
be
gritty.
tuned into that. That is going to get gritty.
Happened once in 2020 when the Bucs won it all. Evans had one catch, but it was a touchdown in that game.
Yeah, look, I
Back when he
mean,
was on the Saints.
When Lattimore was, yeah.
yeah, and I don't know, Brian, you've been roasting this Commanders secondary just about all year. Be interesting to
Mainly
see
just
what
Benjamin
happens.
St-Juste. The rest of them are fine, but Benjamin St-Juste, he should not be employed.
I gotcha. How about that game last night, though? Number one seed on the line, and the Lions show. And I think I was leaning this way anyway, but the Lions pretty much were the number one team in the NFC all year. The Vikings made it close at the end, but it seems like this is the way it should have ended.
Yeah, definitely. I think everybody, not just Detroit fans, I think a lot of people would have been upset if they weren't the number one overall seed to finish this great regular season they had.
It's another
Yeah, and
thing, like we talked about, with Sam Darnold not being able to make a Super Bowl. Sam Darnold can't be a one seed. It just can't compute.
No, exactly. Like I still can't believe that he was a 14 win guy this year. It's just so hard to believe. But I can't believe that he's going to win a Super Bowl. I can't believe he's going to have success in the playoffs. I mean, hopefully I'm wrong, for his sake. But it's Sam Darnold.
Yeah. And now they
it
got to
is,
go on the
but
road and play the Rams.
well, they do have to go on the road and play the Rams, and some potential foreshadowing out of Dan Campbell, as he said to Kevin O'Connell, "I will see you in a few weeks." So he is committed or confident that the Vikings will go out to LA and knock off a gritty, tough Rams team. Sean McVay's no joke in the playoffs. They cannot take that game lightly.
Definitely not. I mean, him, Stafford, Cup, they just won a Super Bowl a couple years ago. And obviously they're missing some big pieces from that Super Bowl winning team, mainly on the defensive side. But
Yep.
look, don't count them out in the playoffs. Definitely not.
What kind of
Yeah.
shape do you think Aaron Donald is in? Just McVay give him a call.
Look, I
I think
don't
Donald's
care
up.
what kind of shape Aaron Donald is in. If he wants to come back, by all means, let him back on that football field. What, he'll get single team this time? Yeah, maybe we'll actually see some production.
I mean,
I feel like
he can't have lost that many steps, right? He's probably better than most of their defensive
Well, he
tackles.
retired not early, but he retired like relatively young, right? Like he was
yeah,
only 30.
definitely.
He was only 30, right?
Definitely.
Which, you see some of these guys, D linemen going until they're 30, 34, 35 plus. I mean, look at Brandon Graham, old as hell.
He's 33.
Yeah, maybe. I just don't think he's keeping NFL game shape at all, which
No,
is
I
what
mean,
the
I
main
can't
issue is going to
imagine,
be.
bro. I mean, comparing him to like what he was playing at to what he probably looks like now. I'm sure he's much happier now, but I don't know. Maybe that Super Bowl ring like is looking extra shiny this week, and maybe he does give Sean a call.
It may not be worth a call, but I think it's worth a text message.
Is
Just a little you up.
like
You up?
I think for like baseball, the playoffs, they have to have the rosters finalized. Like, can they just go and pick a guy up on the street, throw him in a uniform, and run him out there, or how does that work?
If
I,
he's like a free agent or
Yeah, I mean that's what he
like
is as a free agent.
retired, like yeah, I think you can.
Right.
Yeah, didn't it happen with Eric Weddle
yeah,
before their Super
Yeah.
Bowl run a couple years
Well, I
ago?
think what
because
have to happen though is Donna would have to like file with the league office that
that's
he's
this paperwork.
unretiring. Yeah, it's a paperwork thing. It's like he would have because he's listed as retired, so he would have to like formally unretire. Then they could go and assign. Dude,
You guys are
league
But
acting.
office.
You guys are acting like he can't just like he doesn't have someone that would do this like that.
yeah, no,
I don't
you could.
know.
I
He
mean, in
could.
terms of just a final roster, you just have to have your inactives in the hour and a half before.
Yeah. Look,
So,
it's a nice theory. I don't think it's going to happen.
oh, no
It'd be
shot.
cool.
I'm just saying it'd be cool.
It would definitely be cool. I agree. I can agree with that. It would definitely be cool, but you know, they got their guy in what's it, Jared Verse? That's their new Aaron Donald, and I guess he's an edge rusher, so not quite the
Give on
same,
the
but
edge, Donald in the middle.
it can make a recipe for a Super Bowl run. Look, maybe the text gets sent. Who knows? We're all speculating here. Um, the answer is always no unless you ask. I think Sean McVay's got to have that going in his head. But yeah, I mean, obviously, pretty much a dud week 18 what we had here to go over, but looking forward to the midweek Wednesday show, as we'll obviously be able to kind of preview a couple of the college games that we have later in the week, preview the full NFL weekend. We have some crazy, Thursday night, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. We got 5 straight days of high level football, playoff football. So that'll be really fun. I'm looking forward to the end of the week into the weekend. And yeah, obviously getting to see my NFL team continue and play on Sunday is definitely a big plus. And realistically, whether you like it or not, the best product would be Lions Eagles in an NFC championship.
Yeah.
And that's just what it is. I mean, that's what everybody wants to see. And then maybe Bills Chiefs on the other side.
Bills Chiefs or Bills Ravens, either one. It's fine with me.
Bills Chiefs. Bills Chiefs. I'm all over. Would like that way better than Ravens. I think the Chiefs would smoke the Ravens.
They almost had them last year. Then Zay Flowers fumbled.
Yeah, that is true. But I don't know.
Well, we're probably
Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes just seems way better.
We're probably destined to get a Josh Allen versus Lamar Jackson Bills Ravens matchup in this next round.
Yeah,
I think so. I think that makes the most sense.
Which they also, this is why they should wait for MVP till after the playoffs, because you should just give the MVP to the winner of that hypothetical game.
Yeah.
Maybe. If it's that close, yeah.
It is that close.
It is. I'm not saying it's not.
It's not Lindor Ohtani difference.
You guys want to run through spreads on these games on this first round, or
Yeah, some quick picks.
Some quick picks.
I feel like we would have given those out on Wednesday, but I'm down for the early in the week before the lines move.
We can give them out Wednesday.
Doesn't matter to me.
Watch Wednesday. Listen on Wednesday.
Listen Wednesday, you get the free picks. I don't know about this weekend, but the divisional round, I went 5-0 last weekend. I'll never let anybody forget. Or last year, 5-0 in the divisional round on the picks. So tune in to that. Obviously not super wild card weekend, but it's going to be a fun weekend. We'll obviously have some picks for you guys on the Thursday morning show. That's all I got. I'm going to go watch some FCS football. NDSU already up 7-0, and Montana State just punted the ball, so looking to drive down, go up 14-0. NDSU is plus 140 in this game. A team that is in this championship game every year. Plus 140. Again, long way to go. Still the first quarter, but let's go Bison. That's all I got.
The Colts fired Gus Bradley. I guess the Brian Thomas Jr. stop on 4th down didn't do enough.
I didn't even know that guy still existed.
You're a hypocrite.